This conference will now be recorded.
So today let us start off with one more new topic and very important one, and this is the base for our Java. So if you are good with this object oriented, then only we can understand the remaining topics of Java. So let us start off with Java OOP. OOP stands for Object Oriented Programming. OOP stands for what? Object Oriented Programming. And in this topic, we'll be learning about how to create classes, how to create objects for your class. Then we go with constructors, static keyword, packages, then access modifiers, inheritance, polymorphism, then encapsulation. So many topics we discuss, and this will take totally 5 days for us. Okay. So today let us start off with the first one. Let us understand about what is a class first. What is a class? The meaning of class is like a class is a collection of data members and methods. What makes a class? It's a collection of data members and methods. Then, how to create a class in Java is by using a keyword class. Class is a keyword here, and we go with the name of the class. Like example, employee. Then, in this, we go with the data members. The meaning of data members means the variables what we use for employee class. Like for employee, what we can give? Employee number, it's of type integer. Then string employee name. Then double employee salary. Then these are the data members, and we can go with the methods. So the meaning of methods is the functionalities. Like we can say void set employee details, where we write some code inside the method. Then void display employee details, which will take care of displaying the values of the data members. Some code. So how the class looks, that you observe. A class goes with some data members, means variables, and some methods, the operations. Now, once we create the class, outside of the class, the meaning of outside means after curly braces, if you try to access this employee number directly, if you write employee number equal to 111, this will go with error. So we cannot access these members outside of the class directly. So in order to access these members, what we require is object. What we need to create? Object here. How will you define an object programmatically is an instance of a class. An instance of a class is called as object. The meaning of instance is like which occupies some memory space. The name to the memory space is only we call instance. Like a variable also you can assume. Then the syntax of creating object is we have to go with the class name, then object name equal to new class name, then we end with parentheses. Like example, what is the class we have created above? Employee. What is the class we have created above here? Employee. Then some object name A equal to new employee. New is a keyword here. So in this, A is an object of class employee. Now once we create object, by using this object only we can access the members of class. So this is the major point here. The members of the class, when you say members, it can be your data members or it can be your methods. The members of the class are accessed using objects with the dot operator. With which operator? Dot operator. So like example, you can say by using object A dot employee number equal to 111. Now we can give value to employee number. A dot employee name equal to some name. Since name is of type string, the value should go in double quotes. E dot set employee details. You are calling the method. When you call the method, it will just enter into the method. The code in the method will get executed. Okay. One more important point, many people will do the mistake. That is, whenever we create object of the class, don't assume that it will go to the methods automatically. Only when you call the method explicitly with object like this, only when you call the method explicitly, then only it will go to the method. The code in the method will get executed. Remember this point. I'll ask the same question again in the program. Let us understand all these theoretical words using a program now. Let us go with an example code. Employee test.java. Open Eclipse. Right click on project. And say new class. Employee test with main method. Now in this, let us create a class employee with data members like employee number, string employee name, double employee salary. Now to give value to this data members, we are going with a method void set employee details, where in this method we'll give the value of employee number as 111, employee name, some name in double quotes since it is string, and employee salary, we are going with some 8,000. Let us take one more method, void display employee details. Whenever you call the method display employee details, will display the value of employee number equal to the value of employee number, employee name, the value of employee name, employee salary, the value of employee salary. There. Now, in order to run a Java program, what we require inside the class? Main method. So can we write this main method in class employee? Can we write main method in class employee? No problem at all. So Java supports multiple main methods. Multiple classes can go with main methods, no problem. But writing main method in employee class is not suggested. According to the good programming practices, including main method in employee class is not suggested. The reason is the class in which you manage some data. Okay, in that class, try to avoid writing the main method. In that class, try to avoid writing the main method. Reason is, in reality, when you are creating hundreds of classes, different programs are creating the classes, and let us suppose there are hundreds of classes. In all classes, if you write main method, then it creates confusion, it creates ambiguity between the programmers that which is the entry class. So it's difficult to identify the entry class, the main class. That's the reason the class in which you manage some data, try to avoid writing main method. So what we do in reality, we create like a test class or main class, and we include main method here, and we create objects of other classes. So whatever the words I said, it's only suggestion, not the rules. So try to avoid writing main method. So in reality, we generally create one test class with main method, and here we create object of other classes like employee E1 equal to new employee. And by using this E1 object, I'm directly calling the display method. By using E1, I'm directly calling display method. Then what value it's going to print for number, name, and salary? Can anyone answer this? What is the output of this code now?
It will directly display the 111 and Raj and employee salary 8,000.
Okay. Any other answer?
Null.
Null.
Display only that static employee number, null, employee name, null,
Okay.
blank.
Okay, blank. Yeah, any other answer?
Default value.
Yeah, default value. The terminology what we have to use here is default value. So just now I said, did we call set employee details here? No. By using object, did we call this method? No. So if you are not calling the method, then these values are not given to the data members. Okay, until you call the method, the code in the method will not get executed. That point we should remember. So I'm directly calling the display method. So when you call display methods here, what values it's going to print? Employee number is 0, employee name null, and employee salary 0.0. Ravi, instead of saying null, we should use the terminology default values. Okay, Ravi.
Okay.
Right. So when you say here in employee number is of type integer, that's the reason 0. So the default value for integer is 0. Employee name, it's of type string, means reference type. For all reference type, the default value is null. For double, default value is 0.0. Let me elaborate more here. This is the major point of today's class. Whenever we create an object of a class, it is going to allocate memory, new memory. Whenever we create new object for a class, it's going to allocate new memory for all data members of the class. So in our case, we are having 3 data members. So referred with object name like this: e1 dot employee number, e1 dot employee name, then e1 dot employee salary. So it's going to allocate new memory, and the values in this memory are integer is 0, default value, for string null, and for double 0.0. Okay, this is the major point of today's class. Let me document properly. When a new object is created for a class, then it allocates new memory for all data members of the class, and the values in data members are default values. Let me document default values once again. For byte, short, int, long, these are integral types. For all these integral types, the default value is 0. And for float, double 0.0. And for character, a single space. Then for boolean, it is false. And for reference type, any reference type means any class type, like example string, then it is null. Okay, so I've elaborated this point about default values when you started with Java Basics. In Java Basics part 1, you can find about default values concept. Just recap it one more time, all of you. Right? So clear up to here? Any questions up to here? Rajesh, clear up to here?
Yes.
Okay. Now let me go back to the program. After creating object of your class, by using object, now I am calling set employee details. Now we are calling the method. So when you call the method, then it will go to the method. Now the values in data members will be employee number 111, employee name Raj, and employee salary 8000. Now when you call display method, see the output what we get? Employee number 111, name Raj, and salary 8000. Now let us create one more object. Employee E2 equal to new employee. Then now by using E2 object, directly again I am calling display method. So when you call e2.display method, then what values it's going to print for data members now? Anyone?
Default values.
Default.
Again same default values only. Again what will be the output here? Default values for e2 object 0 null 0.0. Now let us call the method e2.set employee details. Now see the result. For e1 object 111 Raj 8000, for e2 also same 111 Raj 8000. Object means a real-time entity, means a real employee here. So can two employees have same data including employee number in reality?
No.
No, right? So what is happening in our program? Whenever we create new object and when you call set method, it is giving the same values to the data members. So multiple objects are having same data. The reason is you are directly assigning the values to the data members. When you assign directly values to the data members inside the method, this type of coding we call it as hard coded data. This type of coding we call hard coded data. Directly assigning the values to the data members inside a method we call hard coded data. Try to avoid hard coding. I'm not saying that it's a mistake. Try to avoid hard coding. How to avoid hard coding is send the data to the method in the form of arguments. When you call this set method, send the data to this method in the form of arguments. The data required here, like we'll pass 111 to employee number, the name and salary. Similar way, when you call E2 method, pass the data 222, Ramu and 6000. So the data what you require for your data members, you pass the data from outside. Outside in our example is main in the form of arguments. So when I pass some arguments to the method, I should have some variable to store your data. So we'll say here int envo string ename and double salary. So what will happen now? This 111 will go and store into envo variable. Raj will go and store into ename variable, and 8000 will go and store into salary variable. When you call e2.set method, 222 will go to envo, Ramu will go to ename, and 6000 will go to salary. Then what changes we have to do in the code now? Instead of 111, you replace with envo. Instead of Raj, you replace with ename, and instead of 8000, you replace with salary. That's it. So this is the way to avoid hard coding. How to avoid hard coding? Pass the data to the method in the form of arguments. See the output now. For E1 object, we are getting 111 Raj 8000. For E2 object, 222 Ramu 6000. Clear everyone up to here? How to avoid hard coding?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, let us go with one more last point here. Whatever the data member names we have taken, we want to use the same names for arguments also. So instead of envo, we want to take the name employee number. Instead of ename, we want to take employee name. Instead of salary, employee salary. Then what changes we have to do here? Instead of envo, employee number. Then instead of ename, employee name, and salary, employee salary. But see the output now. When you run, we get what? Default values only. Let us understand why we are getting default value. Now, when you pass this 111 to employee number, it's like arguments are also like local variables. So it's going to allocate memory for this employee number. It's going to allocate memory for employee number, and the value in this employee number is 111. Then you are giving this employee number to which one? Again, employee number. Where the value will go and store? It will come and store into this memory only. The value is not going to the data member at all. So simple words, n equal to n. The value of n you are storing into n only. So since the values are not going to the data members, it is going with the default values. So when the data member names and argument names are same, when the data member names and argument names are same, how to differentiate is by using a keyword this. By using a keyword what? This dot employee number, this dot employee name, this dot employee salary. This means current object. Means if E1 is calling set method, this will be replaced with E1. If E2 is calling set method, this will be replaced with E2. Now see, when you run, we get the desired output 111 and 222. So let me document about this. So in the next program, you will only say about this keyword, this reference. This refers to the current object, and this reference is generally used to differentiate data members of a class and arguments of a method when the names are same. If the names are different, then we need not worry about this keyword at all. Clear everyone? Any questions? Right? Now, understand carefully. Let me ask the question once again. Whenever we create new object for a class, what values are given to the data members?
Default values.
Very good.
Default.
Just to use the terminology, default values. Just to say the answer as default values. Now our objective is, whenever we create object of a class, we don't want to go with the default values. We want to give our own values to the data members. But in this example, you are going with your own values when you call set method. But what is our object now? Whenever you create object, at that time only I want to go with my own values. I don't want to call set method. In that case, we make use of a concept called as constructors. We go forward constructors. Let me elaborate more. If you take a class sample with the two data members like int I, int j. Now, outside of the class, you are creating object of sample. Now, if you print the value of I and j using object, if I take the value of I and j, then it's going to print the output as default value 0, 0. But our objective is, when you create object of sample, I want to make I value as 10, j value as 20. How to do is, inside the class, we have to create a method. Inside the class, we have to create a method whose name is same as the class name. We have to create a method whose name is same as what? Class name. And in this, we write the code I equal to 10, j equal to 20. And this method whose name is same as class name, this method only we call constructor. This method only we call constructors. Here, when you are creating object, you are referring to constructor to create objects. So in Java, we create objects by using constructor. So how to define a constructor is, a constructor is a special method. You have to say the word method compulsory. A constructor is a method whose name is same as the class name, used to initialize the object. What is the meaning of initialize the object? Giving values to the data members, and does not return anything, not even void. And does not return anything, not even void. No return type. If I go with return type, if you take a method whose name is same as class name but goes with the return type, it goes with the return type means this is not a constructor. We should not call it as a constructor, an ordinary method. It will become like an ordinary method. Okay. One more point. In Java, objects are created using constructors. In Java, we create objects using what? Constructors. You can even say this is a object here. Now the output will be, when you print I and j, it will be 10, 20. Let me elaborate this with the example code. Open Eclipse. Right click on project and say new class. Constructor demo1 with main method. Now in this, let us create a class sample with the two data members int I, int j. Now we want to give value to these data members. So we go with a constructor here, sample, and constructor also can go with arguments. So int I, int j. Now if you observe, is the data member names and argument names are same?
Yes.
Yes. Then how to differentiate?
This.
That's it. We have to make use of this keyword. This dot I equal to I, this dot j equal to j. Let us take a method display. When you call display method, we'll print the value of ij. I equal to the value of I, then space between the values j equal to the value of j. Coming to the main method. In the main method, we create object of sample s equal to new sample, and to the constructor we are passing the arguments 10, 20. So what will happen? These two values will go and store into ij arguments which are given to the data members. Now by using object, if you call the method display, the output will be I equal to 10, j equal to 20. See here, when you run, I equal to 10, j equal to 20. So whenever you create object, and if you want to give value to data members while creating object only, we make use of which concept? Constructors. Got it, everyone?
Yes.
Rajesh, clear up to here? Ravi? Yeah, if you are unable to speak,
Sorry.
you can make use of chat messages also.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
on
Ravi.
mute, sir.
Any questions, Ravi?
No.
Okay. Now, let us understand some important points here. Hello, Gunwant.
Hello, Raj.
Yeah. Hi.
Sorry for that.
Okay, you can follow the recording, Gunwant, and any questions you can ask me tomorrow.
Okay, sir.
So we are having some points on constructors. If a class does not contain a constructor, Java creates a default constructor. Very, very important and confusion points. Java creates what? Default constructor. Let me elaborate. If you take a class sample, and if you are not creating any constructor inside the class, Java is going to create a constructor for you like this, without arguments and no code. So this only we call default constructor, added implicitly. This constructor will get it added automatically. Let me elaborate more. Let me show you practically. I am opening command prompt to prove the words whatever I am saying. I am opening command prompt. Let us create a file, notepad sample.java. So we are having here sample.java. Now let us compile this code. So in this sample, do you have any code? Nothing. Just only open and close curly brace. We did not write any code inside this class sample. Now let us compile this. How to compile? Java C sample.java. At your command prompt, what command we use to compile a Java program? Java C. Once we compile a program, it is going to generate which file? Sample.class file. So depends on number of classes in your source code, that many .class files will be created. We discussed it at the beginning. So here if you see dir, you can see a file sample.class file. You can see here sample.class. Now I want to see the skeleton of sample class, that is profile of sample class. The meaning of profile is what data members the class contains and what methods the class contains. How to see the profile is by using a command java p and pass the name of the class. Observe here. So when you are creating the class, we did not create any method inside the sample class. Here no methods here. But after compiling, and if you see the profile of your sample class, a method got added inside your sample class, and this method is only we call default constructor. So how it looks, same as class name and no arguments. So if a class does not contain any constructor, Java is going to add a default constructor in your class. This point is very, very important. Now, let us understand about this point more using a program. Constructor demo 2. Right click on project and see new class constructor demo 2 with main method. Now in this we are creating a class item where I'm going with the two data members, int item number, string item name. Now we want to give value to these two data members. So let us go with constructor. How it looks? It's a method whose name is same as class name, where it takes two arguments, int item number, string item name. Here also if you observe that data member names and argument names are same, then how to differentiate this keyword. This dot item number equal to item number, this dot item name equal to item name. Let us take a method display. When you call display method, will display the value of data members like this. Item number equal to the value of item number, item name equal to the value of item name. Now coming to main method, create object of item class, and to the constructor you pass the data. 111 will go to item number and monitor will go to item name. So when you are creating object using constructor, so when you refer to the constructor, 111 will go to item number, monitor will go to item name, which are given to the data members. Now if you call the method item1.display, then the output will be item number equal to 111, item name monitor. Now let us create one more object. Understand carefully. Let us create one more object. Item2 equal to new item. Then say item2 dot display, item2 dot display. Then what is the output of this program here?
Default.
Error.
Compile time error.
Yeah, the answer we should say compile time error, because you are seeing red color line in line number 20. You are seeing the red color line in Eclipse. So in Eclipse we can identify errors very easily by just seeing the red color lines. So the answer what we should say, if someone asks this question, the answer it should be compile time error, syntax error. Okay. So some people will give the answer as default values. No, the answer is not default values. For this code, the error is compile time error. The answer we should mark as compile time error. Why we are getting that error? Let us understand now. In item class, did you create constructor here? Do you have a constructor in item class?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right. So when a class contains a constructor, then will Java create a default constructor for you?
No.
No.
That is the point what I discussed here. What is the point? If a class does not contain a constructor, only Java creates default constructor. But in our program, already there is a constructor here. When already there is a constructor, Java will not create default constructor, but you are creating object using default constructor. Since this constructor is not present in your class, it is going with what? Compile time error. Then the suggestion is, when a class contains parameterized constructor, means arguments constructor, when a class contains parameterized constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor. Who has to create this default constructor inside the class? Programmer. Now see, the error will go off. Now you'll get your answer what you said, default values. Okay, so again I'm repeating, when a class contains parameterized constructor, then it is the responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor in the class. It is suggestion point, not a rule. But the suggestion will be important when we go with inheritance topic. So when I go with inheritance, I'll be elaborating this point once again properly. So what is the next point here? If a class contains a parameterized constructor, then it is the responsibility. It is a responsibility of the programmer to create default constructor in the class. Okay, the second point is suggestion only, not the rule, but this suggestion will be important when we go with the topic inheritance. Right? So any questions, anyone up to here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Rajdeep?
Instead of creating the default constructor, can we just pass the default value to the constructor we just created, item with parameter?
Yes, you can. If you are passing arguments here, no problem at all. No problem here.
No, I mean to say in the constructor item which we created, the parameterize. So can we
Okay.
just give the default value by using like equal to int item number equal to?
No problem. No problem. That's not an
Okay.
issue at all. Okay,
Okay.
anything you can pass, but should match with the number of arguments. That's it. Okay, we can even pass default values, but only the concern is when a class contains parameterized, if you are trying to create object using default constructor, it will go with error. That's the reason we suggest you to create like this. It's only suggestion. Okay.
Okay. So we can also pass the default value. So okay.
Yes,
Thank
no
you.
problem at all. Or how many? What depends on the parameterizer constructor, the number of arguments it is taking and type of arguments it is taking. Just to pass the arguments as it is. No worries at all. Like here, if I take here 0, null, it works. Now it is referring to parameterizer constructor now. Okay.
No, actually, I meant to ask, like you wrote 0 and null. So can we just write that over there in the constructor, like int item number equal to 0 in the parameter?
Here, in the parameter, here, you
Yeah.
mean to say here directly?
Yeah.
In the parameter, you mean to say?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is not allowed here. This
Okay.
is like taking the value from outside. So we cannot assign directly. This is not possible. Syntactically, it is not possible. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Here you can change the values, no problem. But here arguments, we should not do it. Okay, Rajdeep.
Okay. Thank you.
Let me go with the assignment here. Java OP assignment. Very, very important. You have to do this compulsory. If you do and submit, then only I can guide you properly. Refer document Java OP assignments. So I'll be sharing a document to you. So here this is OP assignment where you can find totally 10 questions in this. You can find totally 10 questions for complete object oriented. And based on today's class, you can complete up to 5th question. Up to 5 questions you can complete. Okay, but it's not mandatory that you have to submit all five programs now only. You can do every program one day. One day we can complete one program or two programs. No problem at all. And one small instruction over here. Whenever whatever the task given to you, I ask you to create a class student, then you should create class student only. Don't go with the class name as XYZ. Compulsory you have to create a class student only. If in your project, if there is already a class student, then you can say student 1, student 2, no problem. Then, but coming to the data members and methods, whatever the names I ask you to give, you have to give the same names only. You should not change that. Okay, these all are very, very important when we enter into the industry. So whatever the task given to you, you have to do as it is. We should not change the names because that names are used somewhere else. That's the reason whatever they ask you to create, we have to do as it is only. That practice you do it from today only. So try to complete 1 or 2 programs, and based on your submission only, I can guide you properly with the way you are writing the programs are correct or wrong. Okay. For today's, you can go with the question 1 to question 5. Question 1 to question 5 can complete. So that's about for today. Practice this properly, and tomorrow's class I'll be going with a new topic again, where I discuss about static keyword and packages. Okay, slowly I'm going to complete this object oriented. I don't want to push so many things related to object oriented. Let us do it very slowly. Okay, total 5 days only. That's enough for us to complete. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.